What's up, everybody? A little live stream action right here. I want to make this video because we just had the Inoue Butler fight. So, a topic of conversation that always comes up is the fight. After big fights, the pound for pound list, the mythical pound for pound list. I've noticed when it comes to these lists that everyone has their own criteria, and some people they go off resume, some people they go off skill set, some people they go off of longevity, what you did lately. So all this stuff is very subjective, and I hope that nobody gets too heated over this. It's just a list at the end of the day. So this is just my list. I'm gonna go through my top 10 on the pound for pound list. I'm gonna start from 1 to 10, and I'm gonna give you reasons on why I think each guy is in their position. Number one for me, as of today, December 13th, 2022, Terrence Crawford. He's the number one fighter in the world for me. 3-division champion, the longest world champion in boxing. He's knocked out every single opponent that he's fought since 2014. Since 2016. Been a world champion since 2014. His versatility, his ability to switch hit. You saw it Saturday night when he fought against David Avanesian. The guy doesn't look like he's fallen off much. He has the timing, the footwork, the speed, power, ring IQ, and he's never been in a close fight. So to me, that makes him the number one guy in the game right now. Number two, Alexander Usyk. Undisputed at cruiserweight. Obviously, he holds the 3 titles they took from Anthony Joshua at heavyweight. He's been the road warrior, always winning big fights on the road. Anytime, any place, he steps up, he does it. Never really been the close fight, but I think he's been in closer fights than Crawford. The Joshua second fight where he was pretty badly hurt. The fight versus Breda, I would even say. Breda's Michael Hunter, you could even argue. I think he's great just like Crawford is, but to me, what separates Crawford from him is that Crawford, he is a better finisher than Usyk. Usyk's a great fighter. He wins rounds. He's a technician. But to me, Crawford has that extra gear and is a great finisher. But if Usyk beat Fury, I think I would have to bump him to number 1. So he's my number 2. Number 3, Naoya Inoue. Also undisputed as of today. 3-division champion. Phenomenal fighter. Great power, explosiveness, speed. And he reminds me kind of what Triple G was a few years ago at that weight. His power, the way he gets people out of there. But I think he's more explosive than Triple G. And I think he probably has more speed and better, defense. Maybe not, maybe not the chin, but his defense is he's probably a little bit better than Triple G was. Where it comes to Inoue and those other two, I think those other two have had more impressive victories at the top level, and I think they're a little bit more versatile fighters. So I have them a little bit ahead of Inoue. But with Inoue, I could definitely see an argument for him to be number 1. I could really see an argument for any of those 3 to be in any order: Crawford, Usyk, and Inoue. I think that you could have any of those 3 number 1, 2, or 3, and it would be totally reasonable. But for me, I'm going Crawford 1, Usyk 2, Inoue 3. Inoue's a monster. Completely did whatever he wanted to Paul Butler in this fight. Knocked out Donaire earlier this year in the second round in the rematch of that great fight. The first fight was a great fight. If you haven't seen it, go see it. And those are the top 3 right now, I think. Pretty clearly. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Number 4, for me, Canelo Alvarez. He's got to be number 4, even with the loss to Bivol. To me, he still has such a thorough resume. 4-division champion, undisputed, still at super middleweight. Probably has the best counter-punching ability in boxing. Great balance, great chin, great defense. His resume is just crazy. The only reason why I don't have him higher is because of the loss to Bivol, even though it was a loss to, a light heavyweight. Still, you went up there, You lost, and then you didn't rematch that guy. You went back down at 168 to fight a guy who never fought at 168, Triple G, who you already fought twice, and you beat him clearly, but you didn't even stop old, aging, shot Triple G. So to me, I can't put Canelo higher than number 4. But if Canelo beats Bivol, then yeah, Canelo would be my number 4. He'd be my number 1 if he rematched Bivol and beat him. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think that Canelo is going to fight John Ryder and whatever, But still number 4. I don't think a loss just ruins you altogether. I give him his credit. Canelo's a beast. He was my number 1 going into the Bivol fight, even though I think Crawford's more gifted. Just the resume of Canelo was just too ridiculous. Number 5, Errol Spence Jr., 3 belt holder in the welterweight division. Beat Kell Brook, beat Sean Porter, beat Ugas, stopped Brook and Ugas, beat Mikey Garcia, beat Danny Garcia, Lamont Peterson. He's got a good run of wins. The thing, though, with him and Crawford, to me, why I don't have him ahead of Crawford is, even though he holds more world titles in his weight class right now that they're both in, Crawford's a 3-division champion, was undisputed, and Spence didn't do that. And Spence was in a close fight with Porter that was like really, neck and neck, razor tight. Terrence Crawford stopped Sean Porter. Terrence Crawford stopped Kell Brook quicker than Spence did. I know Brook was a little bit older at the time, but Spence is a beast, great fighter. And if he were to fight Crawford and beat Crawford, he'd be number 1. So that's why they got to get it on. Spence has a great work rate, great chin, good defense, good power. With him, I don't know if he has the versatility that, the guys that I put ahead of him have, minus Inoue. But it's all about effectiveness, and I got him number 5 in the game. Number 6, Dimitri Bivol, beat Canelo, beat Gilbert Ramirez, fighter of the year this year, no question to me. Beat Joe Smith, has been the longest reigning champion at the same weight class in boxing right now. Great fighter, great technician, and I want to see him fight Artur Beterbiev, and then he could climb up even more if he became undisputed at light heavyweight. But he's a straight-up beast, cold killer, probably got the best distance control in boxing. Him and Shakur Stevenson, you could, 1 and 1A in that. Very, 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 very gifted fighter, and he's had a very thorough resume. I think number 6 is where he belongs. Number 7, I'm going to go with the big guy. I'm going to go with Tyson Fury. 1 belt, beat Klitschko, beat Wilder twice by KO. The draw in the first fight was debatable. Knocked out White, knocked out Chisora. He's a beast. Straight up, man, he gets underrated, I think, on the pound-for-pound stuff because he's a heavyweight. And when you're a heavyweight, people want to show love to the lower weights. But he's a pound-for-pound fighter for sure. And if he beat Usyk, he's in the top 3 or 4 for me. So, yeah, I don't have him higher because he never unified. He never beat Joshua, Usyk, Joyce, Ruiz. He never beat any of those other guys. And those fights with Wilder, first one and the third one, were way too close for me to put him ahead of some of these other guys. But number 7 is a good spot for him. That's where he belongs. Number 8, Artur Beterbiev, 3 belt holder at light heavyweight. Could make an argument he's even ahead of Bivol, but I go Bivol ahead because Bivol outclassed Gilbert Ramirez and beat Canelo. Artur Beterbiev's knocked out every single opponent he's been in the ring with. He's the only world champion in boxing to do that. Knocked out Joe Smith earlier this year. I was in the house. It was pretty crazy. Knocked out Gvozdyk. Knocked out what's his name? What's the dude's name? Marcus Brown. Power, physical strength, brute. Maybe not the most, skillful and the most polished, but when it comes to just straight up effectiveness and knocking people out and being the bully in there, he is unprecedented in boxing. Artur Beterbiev deserves more love. I don't see him on a lot of people's pound-for-pound list for some reason, but to me, he should be on there. Number 9, Shakur Stevenson. Shakur, to me, from a talent standpoint, probably is already in the top 5, but from a resume standpoint, I can't put him up there yet. Outclassed Valdez, outclassed Herring, outclassed Consejo. Even though he's not undisputed and some other guys are, I think he should be ranked ahead of them. The dude is an absolute beast. The guy barely loses a round. I mean, he will be the number one guy pound for pound, I think, in due time. He will be that guy because he has the skill set to do it. This guy is truly gifted. Couldn't make the 130-pound weight anymore, but all the lightweights got to be on check because Shakur Stevenson is coming. And I got number 10, Jermell Charlo, undisputed champion, held it down, all these years. Even though he lost to Tony Harrison, I thought that was debatable. I had to draw in the fight with Brian Castano, which was a draw. I honestly thought Castano won the fight. So, I think that Jermell Charlo, though, he knocked out all four of his opponents, Lubin, Harrison, Rosario, and Castano, to be, undisputed. To me, that's a big deal. He didn't just beat one guy for all the belts. He beat four different people and really cleaned the division out. I know he never fought Jarrett Hurd. Well, what could you do? It's not his fault. Jarrett Hurd lost to Julian Williams, and Julian Williams lost to Jason Rosario. But undisputed is impressive. And I think for me, I will put Jermell Charlo ahead of guys like Devin Haney and Stephen Fulton, even though they're undisputed as well and they're undefeated because he beat more quality opponents. Whereas a guy like Devin Haney, he only beat Kambosos. That's really his only high-level win. And credit to Kambosos for beating Teofimo Lopez, but he's one of the most basic undisputed champions probably ever. Let's just be honest about George Kambosos. And he did beat him twice. They weren't close fights. I give Haney his credit, but I can't put Haney ahead of Charlo. And Stephen Fulton, the fight with Figueroa was too close, too closely contested for me to put him on that spot ahead of on this pound for pound list and ahead of Jermell Charlo. Other guys that just missed the cut, Josh Taylor. I know he's was undisputed, but I thought he really lost to Catterall, so I got to take him out. And Lomachenko as well. I know he has a great resume, but if we're just being honest, since losing to Tio, he knocked out Nakatani, good win. Went the distance, but clearly won versus Comey. Solid win, good win versus a former champion. But he's been off for some time, Lomachenko, and he came back in the ring and not only, didn't look good, but he didn't look good versus another guy that was not even in the top 10 versus Jermaine Ortiz. He doesn't hold any world titles, so to me, it wouldn't be right to put Lomachenko in the top 10 right now, especially when you have a guy, Devin Haney, who's in his weight class and is undisputed. Now, if Lomachenko beats Haney or Haney beats Lomachenko, then of course they would both be in the top 10. So those are guys that just missed the cut. Let me see the comments. Usyk, Inoue, Bivol. Okay, so my top three is Crawford, Usyk, Inoue. I got Bivol number 6. I'll run down the list one more time. 1, Terrence Crawford. 2, Usyk. 3, Inoue. 4, Canelo. 5, Bivol. No, 5, Spence. 6, Bivol. 7, Tyson Fury. 8, Artur Beterbiev. 9, Shakur Stevenson. And then 10, I'm going to go with Jermell Charlo. There are other guys that are in the mix. Some people do have Bivol as high as top 3. I hear that. I just don't think that, he didn't beat, the number one, the other top guy in his weight class, which is Artur Beterbiev. If you look at those other guys, Inoue, undisputed, Crawford, undisputed, and and Usyk was undisputed. Yeah, Canelo's ahead of Bivol. Canelo's in his 4th weight class, and Canelo is still undisputed at 168. So, yeah, Canelo's ahead of Bivol. I mean, he moved up to a new weight class. He already fought there versus Kovalev, but yeah, he's got to be ahead of Bivol. But I understand that argument too. But to me, Canelo was number 1, and he moved up to a new weight class to fight an undefeated fighter and lost, but he didn't get knocked out. He didn't get embarrassed, in my opinion. So, I understand that, but Canelo, he was champion at 154, unified at 160, undisputed at 168, and he even held the title at 175 versus a faded Kovalev. So, I mean, Bivol, he beat Canelo, he beat Gilberto Ramirez, he beat Joe Smith, but I can't put him ahead of Canelo. I got him number 6. Yeah, I guess you could say he got schooled, but it's to me, it's like Canelo's body work is just too much greater as a whole, and I'm not going to just throw him out of the, throw him out of the, top 5 just because of one loss. He was my number one guy, so I can't just remove him. And I don't think it just works that you just leapfrog him. Like I don't think it works like that. It's like when Teofimo Lopez beat Lomachenko. Like he didn't just leapfrog him. I mean, to me, that would even be more because Lomachenko was in that weight class. Canelo went to a new weight class, so I could hear arguments for Bivol, but I think 6 is a good spot. Yeah, I agree. His performance for Triple G was average. And that's why he's number 4 Canelo for me. Now, if Canelo beats Bivol in the rematch, he's back to number 1 as far as I'm concerned because nobody in boxing has a resume like Canelo. He fought champion after champion after champion. He became undisputed in 1 year at 168. No one's done that recently. So I'm not talking about like Devin Haney beating one guy. I'm talking about beating 3 straight very good fighters. So yeah, I think Bivol is phenomenal. I think Bivol and Spence for that 5th spot. I have it either way, but Bivol schooled Zerto, but Spence knocked out Ugas. So and Spence probably has more high-level wins at welterweight than Bivol does at light heavyweight. But I'm a big Bivol guy too. I got him number 6. But that's the thing with the pound-for-pound list. It's always very interesting, and it always sparks a big debate. But yeah, I think that's the top 10. I'm just running through it again. Crawford 1, 2 Usyk, 3 Inoue, 4 Canelo, 5 Spence, 6 Bivol, 7 Fury, 8 Artur Beterbiev, 9 Shakur Stevenson, and 10 Jermell Charlo. I believe Bivol beats Beterbiev. If he does do that, he's definitely in the top 5. But I don't agree with that. I think Beterbiev knocks Bivol out. But that's a legit 50-50 fight. I don't have a problem with someone saying that. I mean, to me, the winner of that fight definitely jumps in. But I like this trend of undisputed. We need Bivol Beterbiev. We need Crawford Spence. We need Fury Usyk. We need all these matchups to completely know who is the best. Because all this stuff about guys just having multiple champions in the same weight class, it's not good. It's not good for current boxing. So yeah, I that's my list. I'm gonna go into my top 10 heavyweights right now. Number 1, Tyson Fury, clearly the number 1 guy at the heavyweight division. You'll say, oh, but you had Usyk ahead of him in the pound-for-pound list. Yeah, because that's all the stuff that Usyk did at cruiserweight. But just at heavyweight, Fury, number 1, been the champ for the longest, had the most amount of good wins, undefeated, beat Klitschko, beat Wilder twice, really 3 times. Dylan Whiteman was underrated. He's the number 1 guy. Number 2, Usyk, obviously he's the champion. Besides for Fury, beat Joshua, beat Chisora, beat Joshua twice. Those are 1 and 2. Obviously, those got to be the top 2 guys. Usyk very feel 100%. I like his interviews too. Now it gets interesting. To me, 3. I'm still gonna say Anthony Joshua, and stick with me here. Even though he lost twice to Usyk, and I think that Wilder would beat him, I gotta respect the resume. He beat a lot of good guys to get in that position. Klitschko, Parker, Povetkin, Ruiz in the rematch. Even Pulev is solid. Brazil. I'm going to say he's 3. Even the second fight versus Usyk, he didn't get stopped. It was competitive-ish. So I'm going to say he's 3. 4 is Wilder. I don't think Wilder, has as many good wins as AJ. And I don't care about the Helenius win. That doesn't mean much to me that you knock somebody out in the first round that's not even in the top 10. I got him 4, but I understand you could have the 3, 4, and 5. Either way. Same thing. I got number 5, Joe Joyce. I think Joyce is very good. Very big time win versus Joseph Parker. First guy to beat Joseph Parker. To knock Joseph Parker out. I think stylistically he's probably a bigger threat to Fury than Usyk is to Fury, just because of the size and his brute strength. Great chin. Doesn't have the speed of a Fury or Usyk or Joshua or Wilder, but he's got the power, the chin, the ring IQ, and a stiff jab, iron jaw. I'm a fan of Joyce. I think Joyce should get a title shot pretty soon. So that's my top 5. Fury, Usyk, Joshua, Wilder, and Joe Joyce. This is where we get a little bit interesting that, 6 through 10. Number 6, Andy Ruiz. He was heavyweight champion, the most recent of any of the other guys, on this list. So I got to respect that. Solid win versus Luis Ortiz. I think there's a big gap between, Ruiz and the top five. I got Andy Ruiz number 6. Number 7, I'm going to go with, actually a good question. Who's number 7? I'm going to go with Frank Sanchez, number 7. Yeah, I'm going to go with Frank Sanchez, number 7. I like what he's been doing lately. He had the undercard knockout of the Wilder fight, and he beat Effie Ajagba. He's on the way up. I think he's a good fighter at number 7. Number 8, I'm going to go with Dylan White. He didn't really impress me in the Jermaine Franklin fight. I don't think that Dylan White is, a serious contender anymore. I think he's on the way down. I think a lot of the other guys would beat Dylan White that aren't on the list, but just out of respect to the guy's resume, I will say he's number 8. I kind of, go more off resume than off of what I think will happen. Like, I think Jared Anderson knocks Dylan White out. I think Daniel Dubois knocks Dylan White out. I think Hrgovic knocks Dylan White out. But, yeah, I got to put White number 8 just off of the, resume factor. Number 9, I'm going to go Joseph Parker. Same thing. I think he's faded. He's kind of past it. And he just got knocked out by Joyce. But still, he holds wins over Andy Ruiz. That was a good win. Close fight versus Dylan White. Chisora, he beat in the second one pretty clearly. I'm going to go with him at number 9 right now. But I could hear arguments for some of these young guys as well. And number 10, I'm going to go with Filip Hrgovic. His fight with Zhang was close, but I did think he won that fight legitimately. I thought that was the proper decision. And I think that Hrgovic is a contender. I don't know if he'll ever be champion, but at number 10, I think that's, a fair spot for him. Guys who missed the cut, Zhang, Jalalov, as Mad Chat Sports Tavern saying, I agree, he's on the come up. I think Jared Anderson is going to be the number 1 guy in the heavyweight division one day, but I can't put him in my top 10 just because he knocked out Jerry Forrest. Like, you have to do a little bit more, and he's never really been in there with, another top, 20 guy. Even though Jerry Forrest did have a draw with Zhang, but I still got to say he's on the outside looking in. So, yeah, I would have probably said Dylan White over Sanchez before the Jermaine Franklin fight, but I'm going to switch that around. I'm going to say Frank Sanchez, number 7, Dylan White, number 8. So, yeah, I think these young guys like, Jalalov, Anderson, they're definitely on the way up, but I can't put them in there. I don't think Luis Ortiz is top 10 heavyweight anymore. I don't think he's the same. His punch resistance isn't the same. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Big Baby, not Big Baby Miller, but Big Baby, Jared Anderson. That is word. A lot of people say that Jared Anderson got the best of Fury in sparring. Sparring is sparring, fighting is fighting. But I think Jared Anderson is the next great heavyweight, and it's going to be great because he's an American heavyweight. And I don't think America's had a heavyweight like that since Evander Holyfield, frankly, because even Wilder, he never unified, never was the number 1 guy, got into the sport lately. Jared Anderson has a lot of quality things about him. He has the, he's very fluid. He got power. He can box. He can switch. Maybe he has to tighten up his defense a little bit, but I think he will be number 1 one day. But, yeah, Jalalov will spark Hrgovic. It's very possible. I think it's very possible that a guy like Jared Anderson will also. But I got to go off of what, people go off of. I got to go off of who you beat. I can't just go off speculation. It wouldn't be fair. Yeah, the last time America had a great heavyweight, I'm talking all-time great, it was pre-social media. It was Evander Holyfield. And before that, it was Mike Tyson and Riddick Bowe. So, yeah, that's my top 10. 1, Tyson Fury. 2, Alexander Usyk. 3, Anthony Joshua. 4, Deontay Wilder. 5, Joe Joyce. 6, Andy Ruiz. 7, Frank Sanchez. 8, Dylan White. 9, who's 9? Who do I have 9? Joseph Parker. And 10, Filip Hrgovic. I do like Richard Torres too, but I don't think he's as good of a prospect as Jared Anderson. I like some of these young guys, Richard Torres, Jalalov, but Jalalov's already like 30. And then you got a guy like Frank Sanchez, obviously, he's already a contender. Hergovic. Uh, I don't think Tony Yoka is much of anything, honestly. I think Dubois has the power to be a heavyweight, belt holder, but I don't think he's a good enough boxer. He's got to develop some kind of defense. If Daniel Dubois can develop any kind of defense, he could be a heavyweight champion. But I just wonder if Dubois is mentally strong enough. And he got dropped 3 times in his last fight on that Fury Chisora undercard. So I mean, I don't. I was a bigger believer in Dubois before the Joe Joyce fight, and I actually thought Dubois was going to beat Joe Joyce, and he was doing well in the fight, but Joyce broke him down like a veteran, busted his eye, and let's be honest about it, Dubois, he quit in that fight. Like, let's call it what it is. He quit. So yeah, I wonder if Daniel Dubois has the mental fortitude to be the heavyweight champion of the world. But those are the young guys on the come up. And I actually saw something that Dubois, they're gonna like petition for him to get the WBO title shot versus Usyk or whatever, WBA versus Usyk. I don't think it's gonna happen because I think Usyk and Fury are gonna fight for undisputed. But Frank Warren should keep Dubois away from Usyk for the time being because he is not ready for that at all. Like he's not ready for championship level at all, in my opinion. Usyk is way too advanced for Daniel Dubois. What he should do, Dubois, is he should wait until Fury, Usyk, all these guys, Joyce, the dust settles, then go become the vacant champion in the next era. He is not ready for championship boxing at all. So that's what I think. Yeah, I think Richard Torres is very marketable. I just wonder how well a 6'2" heavyweight's going to do, in this era. Most of the great champions are taller, longer, and they can keep it at, distance. But Torres has the power for sure, but he's only got like 4 fights so far. But he's a bull. I mean, he's chiseled out. You see the back muscle showing, got the power, but he's got to improve his defense and probably has to get with like a big-time trainer. I don't know who that is, but that probably would be the course of action. But who am I missing? I don't think I'm missing anybody notable at heavyweight. I think that's, the top 10. Obviously, Usyk and Fury, whoever wins that fight, would be number 1. Yeah, I mean, the Wilder's still in the mix. I still think AJ at 3. I know a lot of people say, he lost twice, but he lost twice to Usyk. I mean, it's not like he lost to, someone that was not off the list. And he has had the, a good run of wins. Whereas Joyce, it's like he beat older fighters like Takam and guys like that. But I can't put him ahead of Joshua. Juan Estrada is in my top 10. That's a good one. He's in your top 10 pound for pound. He's another guy. I think he's on the fence too. But again, the fight with Gonzalez, the second one, I really thought Gonzalez won that. I thought Chocolatito won that fight. This last one I thought was legitimate. It's debatable, but who you taking out of my top 10? I mean, if you're going Estrada in the top 10, you taking him over Shakur? You taking him over Jamel Charlo? Taking him over Artur Beterbiev? Like who are we taking out? Because I mean, there can only be 10 in the top 10, so he's up there too. I think him, Josh Taylor, Lomachenko, Devin Haney. I think they're all in that mix. Yes, over Shakur. Okay, I can hear it. I just think Shakur is a little more impressive because he's never been in a close fight, and like he knocked Herring out. What did he win? 11-1 versus Valdez with a knockdown. Probably won 12-0 versus Kinseo, or 11-1 with a knockdown. 2-division champion, even though 126, that wasn't really much of an accomplishment because he was never really the guy there. But I also look at how you win, and the way he's won is just a little bit more impressive to me than Estrada. But very reasonable to have Estrada in that mix as well. I think that's to be honest with you, if Gonzalez had beaten Estrada, I would be more inclined to have him in there because to me, Roman Gonzalez beat Estrada the first 2 times. I know the first one was a long time ago, and he really, to me, the only loss of his career up until this last Estrada fight was the Rung Risai, the knockout, because I thought he beat him in the first fight, and he came back, got his title back versus Yafai, beat Julio Cesar Martinez. So to me, if he would have beaten Estrada, I would have given him probably the nod in that top 10. But it's it's uh it's something that's you know debatable. Yeah, Triple G beat Canelo. I agree. I thought Triple G beat Canelo both times, honestly. And that's why I also didn't have Canelo as high as other people. Even though I had Canelo number one, to me, that was just because Crawford hadn't fought the other top guys, really, because he's been freezed out by PBC. But since that Triple G fight, the second one, and they were close fights, so I'm not going to, act like it was crazy to have Canelo win the second one. Look at what Canelo did. I mean, he beat Rocky Fielding at 168. Okay, top 10 guy, whatever. Danny Jacobs, he beat him clearly, way clearer than Triple G did. Kovalev at 175. Then he goes up, fights Callum Smith. Not even close. Goes and beats Yildirim. Okay, that was a stay busy fight. Knocks out Billy Joe Saunders. Knocks out Caleb Plant. That's a crazy resume right there. He from 2018 to the Bivol fight, nobody was doing what Canelo was doing. He was on fire. I know he had the drug test also. He failed the drug test, so that's kind of gray area for him. But still, I have number one. From a talent standpoint, I think Terrence Crawford was better. But from a resume standpoint, I couldn't dispute it. I mean, the guy Canelo. I mean, he had the best resume at the time. I mean, and people say Usyk never lost, like Canelo did. But yeah, you're talking Mayweather or Triple G. Usyk hasn't fought those level of opponents that Canelo fought. Not even close. He hasn't. They both were undisputed. You could say cruiserweight versus super middleweight was similar-ish. Fine, but 160, 154, and even challenged himself at 175. Canelo's definitely fought the best opposition of any current fighter in boxing right now. It's not even close. I have Canelo in my top 10. I mean, I would hope you would. He's still undisputed at super middleweight. Nobody even talks about that. Like, he's still the undisputed champion. Now, he's got to fight Benavidez, Charlo, those kind of guys. I don't think he ever fights Demetrius Andrade, but I still got Canelo in my top 5. I mean, the guy is still a monster, and I still would have him to beat anyone at 168 right now. And if he beat Ryder, okay, that's a top 5 guy at that weight. That's something. I'm not gonna belittle that, but I need him to fight Benavidez. But if he beat Bivol in the rematch, he's back to number 1 as far as I'm concerned. I'm sorry, he is. Okay, he lost to a light heavyweight, but if he comes back and rematches Bivol, I gotta give it to him. But that's why I kind of fell off Canelo, because you say you fight for legacy, and Andre Ward called him out for this. Why are you not rematching Dimitri Bivol? Why are you fighting a guy you already beat, a 160 pounder who's 40, and you're making him go to 168? To me, that shows me that Canelo, he's about the money and his position in the game. And all this, I fight for legacy. How could you not rematch Dimitri Bivol, the guy that just beat you 2 months earlier? To me, that's that's not cool. Bivol beats Canelo 99 out of 100 times. I don't know about 99 out of 100, but I think he has the edge, and I agree with you. That's why Canelo knows that. He knows that, Canelo, and he knows that it's going to be tough. And I think it's the best thing just for Canelo to forget about that whole light heavyweight thing. Win at 168, dominate those fights, make people forget about that whole Bivol thing. It's a bad matchup. It's a bad style. But I will point this out. On the cards, it was 7-5 Bivol on all 3 cards. So maybe Canelo's thinking, if I do a little bit better, it could be 7-5 for me, and I can beat Bivol. Because the fight was that tight officially. Maybe he's thinking in his head, I could beat Dimitri Bivol if it was that close. And Canelo, some of those rounds, he just wasn't throwing punches. So I don't know. I think it's a bad matchup. I think I would pick Bivol to beat him again in the rematch. And I think Canelo should just forget about that whole light heavyweight thing. And there's no shame in that. Oscar De La Hoya did the same thing. He went up to middleweight, fought Felix Sturm, debatable if he won that one. Got knocked out by Hopkins. He went back down to 54. It's okay. It doesn't make it where you're not a great fighter. Sugar Ray Robinson, he went at 147, 160. He never won the light heavyweight title. He lost the light heavyweight title to Joey Maxim. I know he was up and he collapsed, but still, they went back down to 160. So everybody has their limit when it comes to this pound for pound thing, and people get it twisted. They're like, oh, you know, Canelo, he could beat Usyk, and then they're like, oh, well, he could fight Spence. Like, Canelo plays with everyone's imagination to the point where they're like, he's the only fighter who, during fight week of a light heavyweight fight, can be talked about fighting a heavyweight, Usyk, and a welterweight in Errol Spence, and it's just ridiculous. There are weight classes for a reason, and that's why I don't kill Canelo for losing to Bivol. Like, I don't, and I don't think you should go near Bivol in the rematch. And I don't think you should go near Artur Beterbiev either, because I think Beterbiev stops him. But I can understand the argument that Artur Beterbiev's an easier fight because Beterbiev's a lot slower, but Beterbiev's a lot bigger and stronger, and he's gonna maul Canelo. And I don't think Canelo can handle a true big 175 pounder like Artur Beterbiev. I gave Canelo huge props for taking on Bivol. Yeah, me too. I do also. But the only problem I have is that, what were they thinking? Did they think this was like an easy like? Did they think this was an easy fight? Like, were they cherry picking and they thought it was going to be another Rocky Fielding? Because if not, I don't understand what they were thinking. It's like, what was Canelo's team thinking? So if he was cherry picking, I don't give him props. But if he actually knew how difficult of a fight this was, I give it to him to take such a hard fight. But if he fights Bivol again in a rematch, I will give him all the credit in the world. That is going for greatness, like you said. I mean, because it's he deserves a lot of credit for doing that. But I just think from a business standpoint, it's a mistake. I don't think you do that. That's just me. I think it's a mistake. Stay away from Bivol. That's why I still have him in my top 5. Stop by my channel sometimes. I'll stop by a channel, no doubt. I'll stop by. Beterbiev hits like cement. He does. He does. You say Canelo knew how hard a fight it was going to be. I don't know, because if you know how difficult of a fight that's going to be, and you're Team Canelo and you're Eddie Reynoso, why would you take that fight as the first fight of a 3-fight deal? Like, to me, you would risk losing the first fight, which then makes the next fight, Golovkin trilogy, not as big because you just lost. I mean, you usually don't take that kind of risk with your first fight. It would make sense if you did. The first fight was like John Ryder, then the second fight was Triple G, then the third fight was Bivol. But then the flip side is, you lose to Bivol, you can still fight Triple G. So if you lost to Triple G, you're not going to go fight Bivol. So no one's going to be interested in that fight. So I don't understand it, but I like this. I like what you're saying, Mad Chad Sports Tavern. I'm going to check out your channel for sure after this. But yeah, that is really my pound for pound and my heavyweight rankings. All these things are subject to change, over time. Let me know what you guys think. Peace out.